of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Broadcasting from Now Media Network's headquarters in Houston, this is Purple Politics, hosted by political expert and commentator Alina Gonzalez-Dockery. Join us to discuss the most important issues affecting our nation with fresh, balanced, and objective discussion on the first bilingual media network in the United States. Purple Politics starts right now.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Purple Politics. I am your hostess, Alina Gonzalez-Dockery. Let's just jump right into it. See if you recall these words and who said it. We stand with Israel. So in this moment, we must be crystal clear. We stand with Israel. We stand with Israel, and we will make sure Israel has what it needs to take care of its citizens, defend itself, and respond to this attack. There is no justification for terrorism. There is no excuse. Anyone want to take a guess? Yes, that was, President Biden in his speech to the United States in express outrage to the attacks that were orchestrated by Hamas, killing 1,200 innocent people, to include many babies and children, and the raping and mutilation of women on October 7, 2023. Let me give you another example of the strength of the leader that is our president. On October 27, 2023, I just got off the phone with the third call with Prime Minister Netanyahu. And I told him, if the United States experienced what Israel is experiencing, our response would be swift, decisive, and overwhelming. Yes, that was President Biden. You can look it up. It is right there, October 27, 2023. So the big question is, what the hell has changed? Because the president that was then is not the same of today. Has Biden taken the knee to the extremists' ideological warfare that has been perpetrated upon our country since September 11th? We have now been witnessing the true nature of our president, which is a yellow belly coward? Or is it just because he is so threatened by the fact that he may lose an election that he will sell out our strongest, most ardent ally in the Middle East and potentially threaten the very lives and country and survival of Israel? Oh, and let me take a little side note. If you have any questions, yes, I believe that a sovereign country has every right to defend itself and to eradicate a terrorist organization that sole purpose is to wipe out, eviscerate, murder, and eradicate the Jewish population, and who has promised to do so over and over again, and then to go after the West. This is the isms that we are dealing with. And as one friend of mine pointed out, apparently they think that I am a Satanist because I believe in the Zion experience. And I assure you, I am not a Satanist. But I will tell you one thing. I am absolutely mortified that our president has frozen weapon deliveries to Israel. President Biden's latest threat to withhold certain weapons deliveries to Israel has sparked concerns in Tel Aviv about potential strain in relations with its key international ally. Israeli officials and analysts perceive Biden's warning as a political message to their government. However, the prospect of paused weapons deliveries poses a threat to Israel's long-term ability to manage conflicts on multiple fronts. We're not just dealing with Rafah. We're not just dealing with Gaza. Hezbollah has been mounting and striking rockets and drones against northern Israel since October the 7th. There has also been attacks from Syria. But hey, Joe Biden just doesn't want to hurt any more people. Well, I wish he thought of that with what he did and the chaos he created in Afghanistan, but I digress. In response to Biden's ultimatum, Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu reaffirmed Israel's commitment to self-defense, expressing readiness to stand alone if necessary. The Israeli War and Security Cabinets convened to deliberate on Israel's reaction to the U.S. decision. Media coverage in Israel largely reflects alarm over the potential fallout, framing it as a sign of deteriorating relations and a warning to Netanyahu regarding his handling of the conflict with Hamas. A conflict that was created, that was started, that begun with the atrocities of Hamas attack on Israel. The immediate impact of paused weapons deliveries on Israel's military operations in Gaza may be limited, but the situation underscores a high-stakes confrontation between Biden and Netanyahu, reminiscent of the past crisis in Israeli-American relations, notably if we look back in history. And for my younger viewers, I implore you to start doing some research and finding truth. Don't take my word for it. Don't take what you learn on TikTok or Instagram or any other news sources. Do your own research. It's really simple. But look back to Golda Meir, Prime Minister Golda Meir, who in an incredible interview in the late 60s stated that Israel is the only sovereign country that is shackled, that does not have the right to defend itself, to be able to conduct its necessary military operations in a time of war. And what is true then is true today. And you have to ask yourself why. Because I assure you, after those atrocities that were committed upon our country on September the 11th, we did act swiftly and we did go in overwhelmingly and we struck back and nobody would have stopped us. So what has changed? This possibility of this major assault on Rafah prompts warnings from Western officials and the UN about civilian casualties and widespread destruction. Within Israel, concerns emerged regarding Netanyahu's leadership during the conflict, with some criticizing his management of foreign policy and the resulting discord with Washington. However, others downplayed the significance of Biden's warning, speculating that Netanyahu may disregard it due to domestic political calculations. Netanyahu's response to Biden's ultimatum remains uncertain, but one thing is for sure, they are going forward in Rafah, the last stronghold of Hamas. And how has it that Netanyahu pushed Biden to the edge of this red line, if you recall his State of the Union address, where he was yelling very prophetically that there was a red line and you must not cross it? Is it because Biden, in his fear of losing control, losing power, or the DNC or the extremists on the Democratic left are now wondering what new way of terrorizing and continuing to maintain the control over the people? The decision by President Biden to withhold the shipment of bombs represents a significant departure from his previous stances, like those that I quoted earlier, emphasizing his reluctance to take such action. This decision was influenced by his prior warning to Israel against a full-scale assault on Rafah, driven by concerns about civilian casualties and an escalating conflict in Gaza. Of course, our prayers, our hearts go out to the innocent families that are in Gaza. But maybe rather than demonizing Israel and what they're trying to do to root out and exterminate Hamas from Gaza and free the Palestinians living in Gaza from the rule and tyranny of Hamas, perhaps rather than playing into Hamas's game plan, maybe, just maybe, stand strong and figure out how can they get rid of Hamas and be able to free the Palestinians so that they can have a thriving culture. So in addition to halting the weapons shipment, Biden expressed readiness to withhold further weapons. And this is after we had a bipartisan congressional matter that was signed in by Biden just a few weeks ago to give more aid, more weapons to Israel. In the event of a major ground operation in Rafah, Biden's stance underscores his prioritizing of the civilian safety and limits, let's just say, hog ties, shackles. You all are getting the picture. Israel's ability to wage war in densely populated areas, which in fact is more of a war within the tunnels. Because let's remember, there are hundreds of miles of tunnels under Gaza that Hamas has been using. Also, Hamas are the ones that use the families, use these innocent civilians as human shields. And Hamas are the ones that are stealing all of the aid, the humanitarian aid that is going in. This decision to withhold arms was preceded by a discreet review initiated in April, reflecting the sensitivity of using sexual leverage over Israel. Despite the initial intentions for confidentiality, this decision became public, sparking criticism from Israeli officials and U.S. Republicans alike. Oh, and to include Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer. Yes, even though he was a few months ago saying, oh, let's placate these, rabble risers and the pro-Palestinian protesters and saying that we want a two-state solution, which, great, let's have a two-state solution. The problem is that one of the states involved in this two-state solutions doesn't want the other state to exist. Anyone? Hints? That would be Hamas. Yes. So critics argue that Biden's move may not have had lasting impact unless accompanied by broader policy changes in U.S. support for Israel. However, the fact that they are, Biden is saying, oh, we'll provide the missiles to continue the Iron Dome. Again, is it because of this Iron Dome that Biden feels that you don't really have to worry so much about Israel? Who knows? But one thing is for sure, if you look at the maps of Israel's escalating military operations into Rafah, the fact that they're dropping leaflets, warning the residents and the people that are refuging in Rafah to move to other purple locations, stating specifically that these are safe houses, setting up tent cities for them, is to root out the final military holdouts for Hamas. We're going to take a quick commercial break. We're going to continue our coverage of the Israeli conflict with Hamas and our lack of leadership in the White House as it pertains to the safety and viability of a free democratic nation. I am Alina. I will see you right back in a few minutes.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Well, here's a great idea. Donate your car now to help local veterans in your area. Yes, just make one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program. Within a few days, we'll come and remove your car for free. You can donate any car in any condition. We'll use our vast network to sell it. The proceeds raised go to help local veterans and their families. And you get a tax deduction. And all you need to do is make this free call. Clean your yard up, get rid of an old car, and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now. Book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Car Donation Program now.
Attention timeshare owners. This is an urgent consumer alert from the Timeshare Exit Hotline, a national company specializing in helping consumers legally get out of their expensive timeshare contracts. We're offering you a way to legally get rid of your timeshare. So if you're fed up with the maintenance fees that keep on coming and want to learn if you can terminate your timeshare legally and permanently, call today. Call the number on your screen today. It's a free call. If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Have you ever had to hire multiple contractors? It is a daunting task that takes a lot of management time and impacts the core business or the company that time you're spent with your loved ones. At Texas Home Property Solutions, you can count on a responsible company that can tackle all your general contractor needs. Electricity, painting, remodeling, plumbing, air conditioning, and roofing. Hire us and forget it. With over 20 years of experience, Texas Home Property Solution will deliver your project on time and within budget, with the high level of quality and integrity, no matter the size or complexity. If you are a company, a government institution, or an individual who needs a general contractor, you need Texas Home Property Solution. Take a decisive step and call us today for a free consultation.
The Israeli military's incursion into Rafah marks a significant advancement in their ground operations in Gaza, as they had previously focused on other areas in the region. However, it remains unclear whether this signals the beginning of a full-scale assault or if Israel will adjust its strategy based on ceasefire negotiations, which we'll be getting into a little bit more on that, because it's really not a negotiation when you have the United States only speaking to one side and then saying, here's the deal. And basically it has everything in it that Israel would be opposed to, like leave Gaza and Hamas stays in power. That sounds like a great deal. Way to go there, CIA Burns. But I will get to that. And yes, I am fired up. The influx of displaced Palestinians into Rafah has significantly increased the population density in the city. So, of course, we want to make sure that there is less civilian casualties, or at least minimize it. Israel has been dropping leaflets and has moved 100,000 people to safe zones that are indicated in purple zones where there are tent cities, and they also have cut off the access to Egypt from Rafah to prevent any arms and other means for the Hamas terrorist militia to continue to be able to get funded and supplied. Now, in anticipation of potential military actions, we are continuing to see this to move forward. And the real question is whether this freezing up of military weaponry, like the 2,000-pound bombs, which would actually be able to destroy tunnels, would actually change what Israel has done. Now, Israel has other means in its arsenal to continue this war without the United States military assistance or weaponry. However, the real question is, how do we come back from this? Is this going to be a continuing fraying of the relations between U.S. and Israel? And is this because Biden is taking a knee to the extremist Islamic rhetoric that has now been so pervasive in poisoning our youth? And so has the on-campus protests and the issues of Gaza, is the threats to the Biden campaign really going to cause the breakdown of our long-standing relationship with Israel and support of Israel? And the irony. President Biden addressed a solemn gathering at the annual Holocaust Remembrance Ceremony in the U.S. Capitol, marking a pivotal moment in his presidency. Amid the ongoing conflicts, including Israeli troops entering Rafah, Biden took the opportunity to condemn anti-Semitism and hate-fueled protests. His speech aimed to bridge the divide between pro-Israel and pro-Palestinian sentiments within the Democratic Party while asserting moral leadership in the face of global unrest. Biden's speech emphasized the significance of remembering the Holocaust and its relevance to contemporary issues, particularly amidst anti-Semitism. He directly linked the hateful protests against Israel to historical atrocities, warning against the normalization of such sentiments. His forceful denunciation of anti-Semitism, vandalism, and violence sought to draw a clear line between legitimate protest and extremism. Okay, so which Biden do we have? So here at the Holocaust Remembrance, when at the Holocaust, which sadly, because the Holocaust is not properly taught in schools, sadly, because the Constitution, the United States Constitution, is not taught in schools, elementary, junior, and high schools. Sadly, because civics, governance, and the three-tier system that we have, and the genius and enlightenment that the forefathers had to be able to foresee any type of issues that come in and have the proper checks and balance are not taught. There's actually 30% of young people, college-age children, that do not believe that the Holocaust actually existed. 12 million people gassed, murdered, chained. The attempt to eradicate Jews from Eastern Europe. And then at the same breath says, we're not giving you arms. And if you continue to do what I don't want you to do, because I'm going to kiss the ass to the Hamas terrorist organizations and the ideological machine and the PR machine, it's always duplicitous, and I'm always aghast at how we have a lack of a leader. But then again, to take, I don't know if Obama truly said this. It has been attributed to Obama saying that if there is a way to F things up, Biden will figure it out. So you can count on Joe to F things up, and boy, has he been effing this up. Although Biden's speech was delivered without disruption, it reflected broader concerns about the impact of the protests on his presidency. The demonstrations, marked by arrests and disruptions on college campuses nationwide, with anti-Semitic vitriol, turning away of Jewish students, the fear inflicted upon Jewish students. Oh, and by the way, canceling of graduations, canceling of classes, telling Jews to stay home. I mean, are we reliving the Nazi era? Biden's forceful condemnation was a welcome respite. However, he does not follow through. The broader political implications of Biden's response to the protests remain uncertain, but one thing's for sure, people are questioning whether Biden's reluctance to provide the arms that he has already signed into law, the funding approved for Israel, and to withhold that. Is this really just another backhanded insult and slight to those that are Jewish and Jewish affiliated and believe in the protection of a sovereign nation of Israel and an ally? And while we're speaking of continued protests, because as you may have seen, not only were the encampments taken out and students being arrested, because despite what Michael Moore may say and others, no, free speech is not. Free speech does not include vandalism of buildings, breaking into buildings, taking over buildings. Free speech does not include vitriol, menacing, threatening actions against another group. And to those lovely little students who thought that they needed humanitarian aid while taking over a building at Columbia, no, that's not included in your First Amendment rights. But Democrats are bracing for Gaza war protests at the convention in Chicago. Concerns are mounting within the Democratic Party about potential protests disrupting the upcoming August convention in Chicago, which could impact President Biden's re-election bid. Pro-Palestinian groups have pledged mass demonstrations outside the convention site with or without a permit, raising comparisons to the tumultuous 1968 Democratic National Convention in the same city. Officials are cautious, recognizing the potential for large-scale unrest given ongoing tensions surrounding the war between Israel and Hamas. Despite assurances from convention officials about creating a welcoming environment, preparations are underway to address potential disruptions. Biden's recent visit to Chicago for a fundraiser placed him in proximity to the convention site, emphasizing the significance of the event for his re-election strategy. Organizers are considering hybrid approaches, blending virtual and in-person elements to mitigate risk associated with large protests. This is absolutely absurd. I have said this before. Yes, I'm a lawyer. And yes, I'm an advocate for those who want to utilize the beautiful and amazing rights that we have afforded to us through the Bill of Rights in our Constitution. So, quick tutorial for the protesters. You have every right to peacefully protest. What that means is air your grievances, state that it is, hold your posters and your placards. That is the beauty of this country, that you can show your disdain to your elected officials and to your government and to your president, just like I am sharing my disdain right now with the lack of leadership and the cowardice that is shown by our president. That is my right, at least for now, because under this administration, we've been having greater attacks on our freedoms than ever before. Keep it peaceful. But one thing I have noted, and I'm going off script right here, is since 2020, we have seen one extremist group after another and pushing further and further the needle to more extreme. And it is time. It is time to stop the minutia. It's time to stop the craziness. It is time to get control. Because the one thing I can assure you is if our democracy falls, if what you are trying to push in an amped up way, and this is also has everything to do with the fact that academia has been prolific, is political prolifery of this socialist and the evil ways of the United States. I assure you, nowhere in those countries that you claim that we have young adults saying, I am Hamas. If you go to Gaza, if you go to some of these extreme Middle East, or even somewhat extreme Middle East things, as a woman, you don't have rights. You don't have a right to speak out against the government without maybe being beheaded. Peacefully protest. Do what you'd like. But do it without violence. Do it without looting. Do it without vandalism. Do it without breaking of windows. Maybe more of us would be willing and more inclined to listen to you and also learn the facts. Because one thing is if you're going to protest something, at least know what you're protesting and know the facts behind it without just following what these people have told you or what the little pamphlet tells you. And for the young students, as I tell my nieces, as I tell my nephews, as I tell my friends' kids who I also believe are I treat as my own, and my niece, you know what? You have every right to your opinion. I will fight for every right I will fight for you to continue to have that voice, but please learn the facts. Do your research. This is Alina Gonzalez-Dockery. I'm going to take a quick commercial break, and then we will go on to other legal maneuvers, how Trump is winning the game.
Are you nearly maxed out on your credit cards? It doesn't matter if you're using your credit cards for fun or to survive. At the end of the month, your statements come in, and you can either pay them or you can't. If you can't, late fees and interest rates get tacked on. And now you're struggling just to make the minimum payment due. Do you feel trapped? Am I talking to you? Good, because I personally researched some companies that can help you. They may be able to reduce your credit card balances by 50% and stop the late fees. If you qualify, please call our special debt hotline number right now for a complimentary free 5-minute consultation. Deal with your credit card problem now before it gets much worse and put more money back in your pocket. Trust me, I've been there too. Call right now.
Call 855-993-2096 right now. That's 855-993-2096.
What if this happened to you when you're alone? Or what if it happened here? With MedGuard Alert, you're never alone. You can connect with medical professionals anywhere, anytime. And now MedGuard is introducing our exclusive new CareWatch. If you need help quickly, use it from anywhere to contact medical professionals. No cell phone required. The CareWatch is not only a life-saving medical alert device, it's a revolutionary health monitoring system that checks your blood pressure, heart rate, oxygen saturation, and much more. And here's the best part. If you have Medicaid, you may qualify to get your CareWatch for free. The CareWatch is only available through MedGuard Alert. Call us right now. We have monitoring programs starting as low as $1 a day. The call is free, activation is free, shipping is free, and no contract is required. Remember, with Medicaid, you may qualify to get your CareWatch for free. Don't wait. Call us to get your CareWatch right now. Operators are standing by.
Trump sees favorable developments amidst his trials. So former President Donald Trump and presumptive Republican candidate has encountered significant developments in his legal battles this week, despite facing a trial in New York. Judge Eileen Cannon indefinitely delayed the start of the federal classified documents case, while Georgia's Court of Appeals agreed to consider Trump's appeal to remove Fulton County District Attorney Fani Willis from the election interference case. These decisions imply potential delays in both trials, which could extend beyond the 2024 presidential election, where Trump is expected to be the Republican nominee. These legal updates suggest that the ongoing hush money trial in New York might be the only case involving Trump before the 2024 election. And if you all are like myself, yes, it was very interesting to get into the tawdry details of an illicit sexual affair that honestly, hush money and affairs has been part of the politics and major corporate forever. Let's look at Bill Clinton's first campaign, or hey, President John F. Kennedy. I mean, my God, the guy was stuffing more women in that White House than I think ever before or ever since. Additionally, delays in Trump's federal trial related to the January 6th Capitol attack add to the uncertainty surrounding his legal challenges. The postponement of the federal classified documents case could significantly benefit Trump, who has faced accusations of using legal maneuvers to delay the trial until after the election. It kind of cracks me up because, again, all criminal defendants have the right to due process, and it's supposed to be a fair fair trial basis. To right to due process is a 14th Amendment right in our Constitution. That is something very unique to the United States. We have a right to due process. We have a right to depose those witnesses that are and confront them in depositions. We're allowed to conduct evidentiary things. We're allowed to see what evidence the other side that the state is going to use. Actually, it is required. And that is part of the problem, because what's happening is there's a lot of discrepancies on what was actually taken and what has now been kind of, I don't know, messed with and such. So, but again, most federal criminal cases take years to go through, not just a year. And on the flip side, as other pundits have stated, these indictments, these criminal actions have actually benefited Trump because, one, a lot of free press, because look at all of us. We're all talking about him constantly, but also gives him the right to claim victim. And let's face it, since 2020, the age of victimhood has never been better. And to continue down in Georgia with that appeal, Trump's attorneys are arguing for Willis's disqualification due to a relationship with Special Prosecutor Nathan Wade, despite previous rulings allowing Willis to lead the case. Again, totally a right for any criminal defendant. You or I are afforded those rights. Just because he's Trump, just because he's the mean orange man, does not mean that you don't have a right to due process. And despite what some prosecutors will stomp and scream and say that this is a miscarriage of justice, actually the opposite would be true. And if we lose that right, if we deny and continue to use the judicial system as a weaponized system and deny the rights of one individual for and erode those rights of the Constitution, it erodes it for all of us. There is always something coming. We have to preserve our constitutional rights. That is why we have the checks and balances we do. This is why you have the right to appeal. Now, if it comes back, it comes back. But again, we have those rights. And going forward, Mexico gearing up for potential return of Trump presidency. In preparation for Mexico's upcoming presidential election and the possibility of Donald Trump returning to power in the United States, yes, Orange Man coming back, possibly, Mexico is anticipating policy proposals and readying themselves for potential mass deportations. Memories of negotiating with Trump during this previous administration, marked by extreme threats against Mexico, are still fresh, emphasizing the need for time, patience, and strategic negotiation tactics. Trump's pledges of drastic actions, such as the largest deportation operation in American history and imposing tariffs on Mexican exports, are raising concerns in Mexico. Officials are engaging with Trump campaign associates on proposals like universal tariffs and trade disputes to equip the future Mexican administration to engage effectively with Trump if he wins the presidency again. While President Andrés Manuel López Obrador forged a working relationship with Trump, his successor faces uncertainty about the future diplomatic relations. Both leading presidential candidates, including López Obrador's protege, Claudia Sheinbaum, and opposition candidate Xochitl Gálvez, expressed readiness to engage with either Trump or Biden, emphasizing Mexico's commitment to defending its interests. Campaign aides are devising plans for either election outcome, focusing on migration policies and effective management of border crossings. Despite Trump's emphasis on stricter border controls, Mexico perceives itself as gaining more leverage given its cooperation curbing migration to the U.S. Okay, that's a joke, right? Okay, in curbing migration to the U.S. and its growing economic significance to the U.S. So they might have curbed it a little bit now that we're going into election year and they need to help out Biden. I don't know. We've had over 7 million people cross that border illegally. I don't have to have fear of being suspended from school like some students have been for saying that it is an illegal entry into the United States to cross without proper documentation, without proper process. But hey, they are curbing the migration. Interesting, because just a few months ago, if you recall, we reported that the president of Mexico was basically extorting the USA, saying you have to give $20 billion to Central American countries if they wanted assistance with the migration, and that they weren't going to accept any more deportees. But, you know, hey, go with what you know, right? Let's just say, yeah, okay, we help minimize some of it. Yeah, sarcasm. Added bonus today. Hope you're enjoying it. Anyway, during Trump's previous tenure, negotiations with Mexico centered on labor reform and wage increases, aligning with Mexico's leftist platform. Although criticized for certain concessions, Mexico achieved victories like the renegotiation of the free trade agreement, highlighting the complexities of managing bilateral relations amid shifting political landscapes. Okay, so secure the border, secure the border, secure the border. Number one issue among Americans. Number one on both sides. And independence, which, oh yeah, by the way, according to the latest Gallup poll, 43% of registered voters are now either independent or non-party affiliated. But yet we're still, you know, being dictated by a two-party system, which makes you want to rethink how our party system is working, because right now the stranglehold on the individual states is all done by the RNC and DNC, but yet 43% of elected officials are non-party. Anyway, I digress. We're going to cut to a quick commercial break, and then we're going to get into some interesting and fun political news. I am Alina. I'll be right back.
If you're living with diabetes and using insulin, you know the pain of pricking your fingers over and over again. By wearing a small device called a continuous glucose monitor, or CGM, you can reduce the pain of pricking your fingers right away. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline today and learn about the latest CGM technology. Not only can a CGM immediately reduce pain, it's accurate, easy to use, and helps you make better diabetes treatment decisions. And if you have Medicare or private insurance, you can see if you qualify for a CGM at little or no out-of-pocket cost. We'll also provide free shipping of your new CGM, and we'll bill your insurance company for you. If you use insulin daily, you might be eligible to get your own continuous glucose monitor. So call the US Med Diabetic Health Hotline to see if you qualify for a CGM at little to no out-of-pocket cost.
Have you ever had to hire multiple contractors? It is a daunting task that takes a lot of management time and impacts the core business or the company that time you're spent with your loved ones. At Texas Home Property Solutions, you can count on a responsible company that can tackle all your general contractor needs. Electricity, painting, remodeling, plumbing, air conditioning, and roofing. Hire us and forget it. With over 20 years of experience, Texas Home Property Solution will deliver your project on time and within budget. with the high level of quality and integrity, no matter the size or complexity. If you are a company, a government institution, or an individual who needs a general contractor, you need Texas Home Property Solution. Take a decisive step and call us today for a free consultation.
If you're on supplemental oxygen, heavy and awkward tanks can be a burden. Now you can leave home and leave the tanks behind with Inogen, portable oxygen therapy that moves with you.
With my Inogen, now I'm able to do the things that I've always loved. I just press the button here, and there's my oxygen.
Inogen systems are so small and light, you're free to leave the house without the hassles of an oxygen tank.
I could play golf again. I could go grocery shopping. I'm free again.
With the Inogen, I can handle my own oxygen. I can carry my own oxygen. I go anywhere with this. Look how small it is.
And right now, you can try an Inogen portable oxygen system for 30 days risk-free. Call us right now. If you qualify, we'll send you an Inogen system to use for 30 days risk-free. Your insurance may even cover your new Inogen system.
If you're on oxygen, you need to be using an Inogen.
Call 800-367-1753. That's 800-367-1753.
Okay, I'm actually I'm loving this. As I was telling our off-camera crew, I get to talk about my girl Nikki Haley. Actually, I will say this: I was extremely proud to see a woman in the Republican primary do as well as she did. And some of you will say, "Oh my God, Trump trounced her." Yeah, Trump did trounce her, but you know what? She was a woman that went through an arduous primary process against 11 other guys, and she was the last person standing against Trump. And no, the Trump machine was too strong, too big, and the supporters too staunch in their following and their support of him that she would have been able to invoke that. But one thing that she did do is show that rational Republican, traditional Republican viewpoints and the ability to listen to the other side and realize that consensus and collaboration is a good thing and is necessary, especially in today's tumultuous political climate. And she's still showing up on the polls. She dropped out, remember, months ago. But anyway, I digress again. Sorry, I had the best coffee. Maybe that's it. Nikki Haley navigates post-presidential race path amid speculation and support. So Nikki Haley, after withdrawing from the Republican presidential race in March, is gradually resuming her public activities. However, she has not yet indicated any plans to endorse Donald Trump. Haley is currently attending a retreat in Charleston, South Carolina, to express gratitude to her major donors. The gathering is not intended for discussing her political future or soliciting donations for other campaigns. There has been no communication between Haley and Trump since her exit from the race. Now, Trump and DeSantis just recently met, and that was in May, and DeSantis dropped out in February. So it takes Trump usually about 3 months to maybe say, hey, sorry, I was such an ass, and my people were really derogatory towards you and your wife, and I was passing really nasty rumors, but how do we work together? Which, if Trump has any chance of winning, which the polls show him ahead. The polls still show Trump is leading in all of the major swing states, well, other states, but he still has to unify this party. But not only unify the Republican Party, he has to unify the disaffected independents and Democrats and such. But Haley's campaign showed that that is possible. While Haley has refrained from endorsing Trump, there is speculation about her potential future in politics. Some of her supporters believe she could make another bid for the presidency, drawing parallels with past nominees like John McCain and Mitt Romney. I would prefer to draw parallels to Ronald Reagan, Abraham Lincoln. Let's go with the winners. Okay, not that John and McCain was an amazing man, but you get the gist, right? Anyway, despite not endorsing Trump, some foresee a scenario where Haley might support him if he actively engages with her and her supporters to unify the Republican Party, which is necessary. Senior members of Haley's political and fundraising team are expected to attend the retreat, where they will review the decisions and successes of her campaign. Even after suspending her campaign, Haley continues to garner support in Republican primaries, reflecting her ongoing influence among key voter demographics, particularly suburban voters critical in swing states. Haley's recent performance in the Indiana primary, which was just this past Tuesday, where she received significant support despite not actively campaigning in the state, underscores her enduring appeal. Her supporters believe she could play a pivotal role in influencing swing state contests, particularly among suburban and independent voters. Now, the Indiana primary, which is an open primary, and for those of you that are MAGA, and yes, my friends love to remind me this, that are MAGA, oh, that's because independents and Democrats can vote for her. She dropped out. It's no big deal. But one thing is for sure, she got 15% of the primary votes in Indiana. That's a big percentage. That is also major red flags for Donald Trump's campaign to say, okay, what are we missing here? Also, in those suburban areas where Trump is the weakest among white suburban mothers, particularly, but among the college areas and suburban areas, she was getting upwards of 33%. There have been other state primaries, even prior to Indiana's, that show Haley getting 22%. There is a strong showing that it's almost like the undecided for Biden. And it's not saying that Biden, because Democrats are basically, you stay in tow, it's our way, the highway, but you always protect the power. The Republicans actually, at least we have a little bit better of an understanding of the Republicans, that they are able to express their displeasure with certain things. You see it all the time in Congress, so why wouldn't it be in the electorate? But it also cries out to say that there needs to be healing. And although Trump and Haley once had a cordial relationship, she was his UN ambassador, their interactions turned acrimonious earlier this year. While Haley has made no public statements about her political future since exiting the race, she remains an influential figure within the Republican Party. And if Trump fails to secure re-election, strategists suggest Haley could be well positioned for a future presidential bid. Currently, Haley is focused on supporting her team's career transitions, expressing gratitude to donors and supporters, and spending time with her family. Her husband has recently returned from a year deployment in Africa. She has also joined the Hudson Institute in Washington, where she is expected to contribute to foreign policy discussions and initiatives. Some of Haley's supporters find themselves torn between Biden and Trump, reflecting the broader challenges within the Republican base. But one thing is for certain, Haley tapped into a moderate Republican base, maybe what would be seen as moderate today, but a Republican that would be more Reagan-esque, but also the disenfranchised Democrat and Republicans that are no longer party affiliated, the non-party affiliated, the independent voter, which again, like I said before our commercial break, is 43% of registered voters. And speaking of Republican Party and how they believe in voicing their opposition to such, Marjorie Taylor Greene, MTG. The House overwhelmingly rejects Marjorie Taylor Greene's attempts to out Speaker Mike Johnson. The House of Representatives voted decisively to block Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene's resolution aimed at removing Speaker Mike Johnson from his position, marking another chapter in the GOP's internal strife and ridiculousness. But hey, way to go, Freedom Caucus. Greene accused Johnson of collaborating with Democrats. Oh my God, you mean actually leading the House, the Speaker of the House? Oh, okay, don't know how else to emphasize that more. To actually collaborate with Democrats? You mean to actually pass laws in a bipartisan way and maybe harken back to the days where people actually work together for the benefit of this country. But I digress. Greene accused Johnson of collaborating with Democrats, but most Republicans and even former President Trump opposed her move. The vote to set aside Greene's motion was 359 to 43, with 7 members voting present, basically not voting, indicating widespread bipartisan support for Johnson. Johnson emphasized the need for Republican unity, urging colleagues to set aside personality politics and focus on the upcoming elections, which is true. The Republicans only have a 1-seat majority at times because of all the people who have resigned out of frustration for most part. Despite Greene's efforts, and by the way, she was booed when she rose to give this motion, Johnson is safe. And maybe, just maybe, Johnson can actually state that he is the Speaker of the entire House. Because as Johnson has stated, he is a Reagan Republican. Yes, he is conservative. Yes, he's a family man. Yes, he is a Christian. Yes, he believes in the Constitution. He is a constitutional lawyer. But one thing is for certain, the Democrats came to his back as well. And in a time where we're coming to a new stage, come January, there'll be a new Speaker of the House. A little continuity, a little stability goes a long way. So hopefully MTG, Matt Gaetz, learn a lesson here and stop creating chaos. Because if we want chaos, we have enough of that in the world as it is. It is time for governance. It is time for leadership. It is not a time for identity politics on both sides. I am Alina Gonzalez-Dockery. I hope you enjoyed this show. I actually had a lot of fun. And I hope to see you next week on Purple Politics. Wishing you a good night and farewell.
This has been a Now Media Networks feature presentation. All rights reserved.
Do you have a car sitting around you want to get rid of? Well, here's a great idea. Donate your car now to help local veterans in your area. Yes, just make one fast call to the Veteran Car Donation Program. Within a few days, we'll come and remove your car for free. You can donate any car in any condition. We'll use our vast network to sell it. The proceeds raised go to help local veterans and their families. And you get a tax deduction. And all you need to do is make this free call. Clean your yard up, get rid of an old car, and help the vets. We make it easy. Make this free call now. Book your fast and easy pickup. Call the Veteran Car Donation Program now.
How would you like to go on a 5-star vacation for just $99? We're talking about the quality of a Westgate resort for $99. Not for one night, but for 3 fantastic nights at one of their luxurious destinations across the United States. And you'll even get a free $100 Visa gift card just for making a reservation. We've got some of the choicest destinations that you'll love in the United States that you can choose from for just $99 for a 3-night stay. away. Take your family. Take a special loved one, but get away. Go on vacation with Westgate Resorts. Call now to make a reservation for just $99, and you get a free $100 Visa gift card. Call Westgate right now and book your vacation. Here's the number.
Call 877-930-3491. That's 877-930-3491. Again, 877-930-3491.
If you're on supplemental oxygen, heavy and awkward